Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CEC for Life podcast. My name is Christian McGrew, and I am the host and the director of outreach. Today, I have our special guest, Emily Berning, and also Eleanor Sand is on with us. And so we'll go ahead and let Emily introduce herself.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm Emily. I am currently in our truck on the side of the highway. I don't normally do my interviews in this location, but we had a little bit of an accident, so we're just improvising. But I'm really happy to be talking to you guys. As you guys know, I am the co-founder and president of Let Them Live. My other co-founder is my husband, and he's outside dealing with the stuff on the side of the road. But we started Let Them Live because we wanted to do something in the pro-life space that made an impact that wasn't happening. And it actually all came about because we got connected with a pregnant woman who had an abortion scheduled, and she was just dealing with all these financial problems and all of these life problems. And we stepped in and we actually gave her all the money in our bank account to help her get back into her apartment and cancel her abortion. So it really came from this idea that so many women are going into that abortion clinic or taking those abortion pills, not because it's actually their choice, but because they feel like they have no other option. So Let Them Live is a nationwide nonprofit that helps women all over the place. Even I'd say we're a worldwide nonprofit, but we've helped over 1,000 women cancel their abortions by giving them real support, whether that's financial or emotional, just coming alongside of them. And it's been a wonderful journey. We've been doing this for about 7 years, and I absolutely love sharing about what we do. Being pro-life is at the heart of my mission and my passion in life. So really great to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I've we met at some point along the line and a couple years ago, and at Let Them Live has just been, and Emily has, they've just been incredible like support for everything that we've done with the march and everything. So yeah, and obviously we really support the mission of Let Them Live. You guys really help the women in need. So just thank you so much for coming on. I'll have Eleanor introduce herself.
Hi, my name's Eleanor, and I worked with Christian doing some Students for Life and tabling at the University of North Florida back in our college days. And I've just been cheering him along in all of his pro-life endeavors. Currently based out of New Mexico with two little kids. And so shifting how active in the pro-life movement I am, but so excited to be a part of this. So excited to talk to Emily. Let Them Live is one of my favorite resources to direct people to. Um, I found one of the places of ministry that's really surprised me, where I've encountered women seeking abortions, is in mom groups on Facebook. And with my last two pregnancies, you'll join a due date group where everyone's due at the same time. And through that first trimester, there's more than a few that panic, that second guess if they actually want to go through with this pregnancy. A lot of them are in really less than ideal situations, and being able to direct them to a resource like Let Them Live or Standing with You or some of those um, pro-life organizations that really are boots on the ground, talking to the women directly is such an amazing thing to do on a national scale. And so thank you, Emily, for being that resource that allows us to put our money where our mouth is, and be that middleman to connect the resources to the women that really need them.
Absolutely. I found that Let Them Live has become this really great connector in the pro-life movement. There's a lot of pro-life people who have really big hearts, and they want to make a difference, and they want to help women, and they want to help babies, to be saved from abortion, but sometimes they just don't know where to start, and they don't know about the resources that they have. So we're happy to be here to help. I'm from Colorado, so we're neighbors. It's very important, especially in states like New Mexico and Colorado, where late-term abortion is available, where abortion is just rampant, honestly. So it's an honor to be able to serve in all 50 states, but especially the states where abortion is happening the most.
So Emily, like for people who aren't familiar with what you do, I know you gave a brief description, but what is the mission of Let Them Live? Like what's the mission?
Our goal is really to meet women where they're at, and to give them the financial support that they need to choose life, give them the resources that they need to choose life. So many women have abortions. Again, like I said, not because they want to, but because they feel backed into a corner. And whether it's, a person in their life, like their partner or their spouse or their family, their parents pressuring them into abortion, or it's their finances, the vast majority of abortions are coerced abortions. They are pushed into those abortions for one reason or another. So our mission at Let Them Live is to find the solutions that these women need, the practical solutions that they need so they can cancel their abortions and choose life. We're giving them an alternative to abortion, which hasn't really been provided as much since Roe became the law of the land all those years ago. So we're really seeing a focus shift in the pro-life movement to working on solving the demand crisis for abortion. There's a huge demand for abortion. We've really kind of gone after the supply for abortion. And so now we really have to reach women directly. And that's exactly what Let Them Live does. We partner with pregnancy centers and people across the world to make sure that women have all the social safety nets in place.
It is so important for people who like a lot of times like they might not know who to contact at a local pregnancy center as well. And so having you guys is so it's just such an incredible mission that you guys have. And actually we have on our business cards for Defending Life Alliance, we have Let Them Live and a local pregnancy center as are on the back of them so that we can give it to women in need. And if we're in a different place, there you go. You can go to Let Them Live. So, like, would you say it's a fair thing to say you guys are kind of like a virtual pregnancy resource center?
Yeah, we're very similar. We are virtual, so we've really tapped into the 21st century model of being fully on social media. I mean, women can access our support from all over the world. And so, yeah, I would kind of say we're a virtual pregnancy center. Where we differ is just how we specialize in the support that we give women. So many pregnancy centers, the brick and mortar pregnancy centers operate, they by giving, pregnancy tests and ultrasounds and providing, clothing, diapers and formulas and a lot of that in-person support. But not all pregnancy centers, in fact, many pregnancy centers, most of them are not equipped to pay some of the bills or a lot of the bills that are weighing women down, that are really heavy on their hearts when they go into that abortion clinic. So that's kind of where Let Them Live comes in. We kind of consider ourselves the emergency room of the pro-life movement. So we help women specifically who have abortions scheduled. And we come in and we give them that financial support that kind of gets them some breathing room so that they can step back and actually think about their pregnancy and their baby and choosing life. And then the pregnancy centers are great about coming in and giving them a lot of more long-term support. But we really come in and give them that financial support. We again partner with many pregnancy centers, and one example is we had a pregnancy center. A woman was referred to them, and she said that she had an abortion scheduled because she had $10,000 in back rent that was due and she was going to be evicted, and they didn't have that money. They couldn't have been able to afford that, so they called Let Them Live, because we are able to help pay that. We actually were able to help negotiate that cost down, but it was still a pretty significant amount, and we have the infrastructure to be able to pay that, and that's ultimately what she needed to feel like she could choose life.
Can you walk us through the process of what happens when a woman does reach out to your organization? Um, what's the screening process? How do you decide who gets help and who doesn't? Or just, yeah, from the moment that they first contact you, what does that look like?
Yeah. So basically, women contact us through a couple different means. Either it's a referral from a pregnancy center or someone who's a sidewalk counselor gave her our information. Women also find us on social media. And when they do, they are first put in touch with one of our what we call triage specialists. So again, kind of go back to the emergency room analogy. It's like the best analogy for Let Them Live. When you go to the emergency room, you are triaged. So they assess what's going on in your life or what injuries you have, things like that, to determine how urgent of a situation this is. That's what we do too. We talk to the moms that come to us. We try to figure out what we should assign them as far as triaging. So if they're a green mom, for example, that means that they're not considering abortion at all. They might be struggling and have fallen on hard times, but abortion will not ever be on the table for them. Whereas a red mom, that is a woman who absolutely is not only considering abortion, but she's either going to schedule that, right now or tomorrow, or she has an abortion scheduled and or she's got the pills in hand. So that's kind of our emergency situation. And because our mission is to help women cancel their abortions, the women that we exist to help are women who have abortions scheduled. So we focus our efforts and our money and our financial support on those women. So once they're triaged, let's say they're triaged red, they're assigned a pregnancy counselor, and the pregnancy counselor is going to work with them on getting a financial plan set up. So this is going to be identifying all of the pain points, what they're dealing with. It could be that, their boyfriend is abusive and they need to escape and they need to get, an apartment to rent somewhere else and they can't financially do that. Whatever it is, they're going to share their whole situation with us, how they got pregnant, what they're feeling, what their family says, if the father of the baby is supportive. All of these things help us to help them. So if a mom is eligible for our financial assistance and that's what she needs to choose life, we give her that financial plan, which just outlines exactly how we're going to help her with what we're going to help her with and for how long. So it might be something like, uh, we're going to pay your rent for 5 months. We're going to pay your car payment for 4 months, and we're going to pay for your child care for 3 months. So that's just one example. Every single mom is so different, and we tailor our support to each mom. And our support also kind of tapers off as well, because our goal is not just to, yes, it's to cancel that abortion and to help that mom make a better choice to kind of get her off that ledge, but we also want to set her up for long-term success. So as she goes through our program and as we're alleviating some of her bills and her financial needs, she participates in our support groups, our financial coaching. Our counselors help these moms to get better jobs, to just get jobs in general, things like that, so they can start slowly standing back up, taking back over their bills and start providing for their families. And that's really what the moms want, right? They don't want to be on support forever. They want to be the best moms they can. They want to be able to provide for their children. They just need a little bit of help to do that. So that's how they go through our program. Again, the length that they're, in our program really depends, but I've had contact with moms for years. That some of the original, like OG Let Them Live moms that Nathan and I would counsel when we first started, I still touch base with. So really, they're kind of in our program in a sense forever. But that's kind of a little bit of how it works. Our pregnancy counselors, like you mentioned, there's also a vetting and verification process. We work with pregnancy centers to make sure women are actually pregnant. There's a lot of scamming that can happen, but we do have a very in-depth process for making sure that we have all the information that we can possibly get. So that involves, you know, we're active on social media. We check out mom's social medias. We like to know, because sometimes moms might say something like, well, I'm considering abortion, but then they just had like a baby shower, things like that. But I would say the vast majority of our moms are very honest, scared, um, and just want some help. But we do verify pregnancy. We do verify things to the extent that we can. And when it comes time to pay their bills, when it comes time to pay the rent and pay the car payment and things like that, our finance team on our counseling department, they pay those bills directly to where they're due. So it's a balance between helping our moms and not making them go through too much red tape, but also stewarding donor money responsibly.
What do you see like when these women need your help? What is the biggest barriers in their life that causes them to need your help and the help that you give?
Yeah, the financial support is so huge. And I think that it's not always just financial support because that can be a really big one, but I do find that finances do kind of underlie a lot of the issues that they do have. So it could be something like they got kicked out of their house. Their parents aren't going to support them, and now they don't have the money to pay for rent at an apartment. So it kind of does come back to finances. I would say almost 99% of the time. There are occasions where that is not the case. It could be something like they're afraid that their baby is going to have some sort of anomaly or, things like that. And we'll work with them to try to get like a second opinion and get them a pro-life doctor. But the reality is that, finances are definitely the biggest thing. Within finances, housing is for sure the biggest problem that we see. So a lot of women that we come across, they're either homeless or again, they can't afford where they're at right now. Their boyfriend or spouse is abusive and their life just kind of got upended. A lot of them have kids already, so they're kind of in that mindset of thinking like I can't provide for my kids that I already have. How can I possibly provide for another child? And that's really the mindset that they're in. Some of the women are in college, they're trying to pursue their degree, and unfortunately we live in a culture that says, well, if you're pregnant and you're in college, you can't do both. You can't be a mom and have a degree and do all these things. So you have to choose. But we come alongside them and make sure that they don't have to make a choice that they don't want to make. And they don't have to have abortion. So it's really a variety of things. But a lot of times, just being there to support them is very important because a common trend we see in the moms that we help is that they all have some past trauma and also current trauma. They have people in their lives that have abandoned them. They have really unstable relationships with, a spouse or a boyfriend or their parents. They've made some probably bad decisions in the past. They really haven't had a stable life. And so Let Them Live kind of provides a little bit of a stability to them.
Because I feel like a lot of times, if women had that kind of help that you guys give them versus people just telling them that they should have an abortion, then so like obviously so many more women would have their babies. I think that that's just like a, kind of a testimony of what you guys do, right? Because um, but unfortunately, we have all of this taxpayer funding going to Planned Parenthood and, trying to, giving it to them, they're just going to push for more abortions. When if we gave money, that same those taxpayer dollars to people like Let Them Live or pregnancy resource centers, women would not even want to have as many abortions because they wouldn't feel the need because of financial reasons. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why what you do is so important because you actually are like saving babies who wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the work that you guys
Yeah.
do. So,
Well, you hit the nail on the head with that too. We calculated that we actually have a 99% success rate. So women that are coming to Let Them Live with abortions scheduled, we help cancel 99% of them. So we actually have a very, very great model for saving lives from abortion. And you're so right. It's something that I just sometimes I want to shake people and just say like, we figured it out. You have no idea, and get more and more and more funding. Partly it is that places like Planned Parenthood get funding, and our tax dollars are funding abortion instead of alternatives to abortion. Another part of it is that the pro-life movement for as long as it has been around has been very entrenched in sort of the legal, more like legislative battle against abortion, and I would really love to see some of the funds that have continued to pour into the kind of politics of abortion,
mhm.
be redirected into organizations like Let Them Live and pregnancy centers that are addressing the demand for abortion because we're seeing very, very positive results of our work.
Yeah.
So going off of your triage system a little bit, where you talked about the green moms versus the red moms, for those green moms that never would even think about scheduling an abortion, but do need some extra financial assistance, and the pregnancy is kind of the one thing too much in their life, do you help connect them with government resources and support that already exists? Or for listeners out there that are pro-life, since that's normally our listening population, but maybe do have financial struggles, what would you say to them?
Yeah, that's a great question. When we started Let Them Live, we were so gung ho with canceling abortions, which it was interesting because it was actually met with a lot of we had a lot of pushback, I guess. People were like, well, why don't you help every single woman that comes to you? And the reality is we just don't have the money to do it. I mean, if abortion suddenly stopped and women suddenly weren't having abortions, then that wouldn't be a problem. But we did realize when we first started, like, we can't just say, sorry, you're not abortion minded. can't help you at all, see you later. We had to do something. So we do have a handful of what we call resource counselors out Let Them Live. And they are pregnancy counselors that maybe don't have as much time to dedicate to some of our you know more difficult situations that we have with our moms, but they can still help. And so those counselors are then assigned to those sort of green moms or yellow moms, some moms that are kind of in between. And they're able to, yes, get them resources, whether that's their local support, government support, and also just be a friend to them. I think sometimes everyone just needs someone to listen to them. We all have gone through that in our life where we're dealing with something and then one more thing comes onto our plate and it's just too much and we just can't handle it. And so talking to someone is sometimes very healing. So we absolutely have our resource counselors for that. And we do have an amazing list of resources across the nation. We partner with a lot of organizations to make sure women have what they need. So we're always happy to help in some way, essentially.
Um, yeah, I'm just so inspired by the work that you guys do. It's really incredible, and just to give those abortion-minded women the chance to have that baby. And is there one story that sticks out with you? Just I know there's probably a lot, but is there one that just sticks out with you that it just went from like where your financial support completely changed that woman's life? I mean, I'm sure that's like all of them, but you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, there's a lot, but actually one of them we've just been friends and following her story for years now, and I have exciting updates, so I'll share her story and then share some of those updates with you. But I tell this story a lot. So if anyone's listening and you've heard this, I'm sorry, but I have to share it. We helped a mom in Northern California named Atoria, and we got in touch with her through friends of friends, and she was one of the most difficult moms that we had to work with to date. She was really battling depression. She was really battling um, the circumstances. She was 20 weeks pregnant, well, 18 weeks pregnant, I guess, when we touched base with her first. The father of her baby had abandoned her. Her family couldn't help her, so she was living in her car. And I don't have to explain the economic situation in California. So it was just a really bad situation, and she was just pretty set on abortion. So we actually got in touch with her, and um, it took a lot of convincing. It actually took Nathan and I flying to California and seeing her face to face and just telling her, like, we're here for you. We're also literally here for you, for her to finally decide to choose life, because she had been planning to have a 2-day abortion. And then she had also planned to take her own life after that. That was what she felt like. That's just the place that she was in mentally and emotionally. So that was in October of 2019. And this is literally a year after Nathan and I get married. So we're like new husband and wife, new to this mission, new to all of this. Um, and she actually invited Nathan and I to come back for when her baby was born. So Nathan and I went back in March 2nd of 2020. We were in the delivery room and we got to meet baby Kiari and hold him. And it was such a surreal experience because we had fought so hard for that moment to happen. I mean, honestly, even when she said, okay, I'm doing this, I'm choosing life, I still wasn't sure, because at any moment she could have decided not to and just had an abortion because of the availability of abortion in California. So it was just like one of those moments that's like, oh my gosh, there's like a deep sigh of relief. Like we made it. And oh my gosh, wow, I'm holding this child whose hands and arms and legs and we're going to be ripped off in an abortion, you know? And Atoria herself had been like one of those moms that I met, someone who was in dysfunctional relationships and really didn't have support in her life, and um wasn't making good decisions. She wasn't a Christian. She just kept going in this cycle. And I can proudly say now, she actually has 2 more kids that she's given birth to since. I can proudly say now she's a Christian. She's given her life to Christ, which is amazing. I've seen her do a complete 180. She now is like a counselor to help sex trafficking victims. She's married now, not to the father of her babies, her first 2 babies, but she is married to a wonderful man who has a great job. And it's just really cool to see because I saw Toria at her lowest of lows. I mean, I'm talking we were in the trenches with her, and to see her just flourishing now is like the best thing I've ever seen. And her son is going to be 6 years old in March,
Oh my
which is
goodness.
just absolutely crazy to me. I mean, this is a kid who dressed up as like Spider-Man for Halloween, and he has friends and he has things that he loves to do. And it's like this is a whole other human that almost wasn't here.
Yeah.
I could tell so many stories. Our moms have just been so resilient and so amazing, and over 1,000 lives saved from abortion. I mean, it's just like mind blowing.
Yeah.
I think what really like stands out to me with the way that you're telling that story is the twofold of how you're measuring the success beyond just a baby wasn't aborted, but that there's been this continued success in her life and that she's happy now and the ultimate success that she loves the Lord and like her whole family does now and just the beauty of that as well as the way that you help women with such a dignity and helping them be the best versions of themselves. And it's not like such pitying or hand holding, but uplifting and empowering. Like that is the definition of empowering women and having that long-term success. It's just beautiful.
Thank you. Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned that too, because there have been some moms, and this all depends on the counselor relationship with her mom. But when Nathan and I were counseling, there were a couple moms that we got very close with, and we just told them the truth flat out. I mean, there were some times where they were just getting in their head, and we weren't doing that self, that pitying, that type of thing. We're saying, snap out of it. You have got to pick up get up on your feet and do this. Like this is just the truth. Like you are a mother to this baby, and sometimes giving them the hard truth is the loving thing. And I we don't necessarily lead with that, but giving these women maybe just some straight up truth when they've lived a life where people haven't done that, it actually motivates them to be the best that they can be, truly. And it is a win for us to see women not only choose life, but to turn their life around, because then they can help other people. I mean, Atoria is helping sex trafficking victims. We have a number of moms who volunteer for Let Them Live or work out Let Them Live to help other moms. It's just super awesome to see it come full circle.
So, and it's just so cool because like with all of the babies that you guys have saved, it's not just saving one baby, but it's saving generations in the future. And I think that's like super cool to think about.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you think whenever you said that you have 1,000, and I saw that today or the other day, that you guys made like have 1,000 babies saved. What do you like? Is it kind of like a how did I get here? Like this is insane kind of moment?
Yeah, like I tear up. It's crazy because, all those years ago, 7 years ago, it was God asking us to just help one mom. And we helped her with $1,200, which was, again, all we had in our bank account. We helped get her back into her apartment. And to see what God has done, He has taken $1,200 and turned it into millions of dollars. He's taken, the action from helping one mom and turned it into helping over 1,000 moms. And it's so humbling to me. And I can't receive any of the credit. I mean, yeah, I did my part, but mostly I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just taking directives from God. So it's very humbling. And I wake up pretty much every single day. When I wake up, I'm like, what the heck? Like, how is this happening? Did we really do this? And it has an even bigger impact, I think, personally for Nathan and I, because we are not able to have kids. So it's just the irony of ironies that God would call us into this work to literally help women choose life, women who get pregnant pretty easily, who are stuck and thinking, I have to have an abortion. It's just funny that God called us into this work when we can't have a family of our own. But I just wrote this op-ed actually, and it was about how when Nathan and I were on the altar and we were at our wedding and we were asked, are you going to like lovingly accept children into your family? And we were like, yes, of course, thinking that we knew what that meant. Like, oh, we're going to get married here. Great. We're going to get pregnant and have a baby. But I think at the time, I didn't realize that my yes was actually to something a lot bigger, because we have indeed welcomed kids, just not in the way that we thought. So it's very humbling. And it's super cool. It's super cool to see these kids grow up. It's super cool to see these moms become just the best moms and the best people. And I know I'm gonna die very happy knowing that like I did what I did, you know?
Yeah, for sure. That's really powerful. And yeah, again, just like what you guys do is incredible. And there are literally thousands of people alive today because of it. So, what's the best way that the public can support what you do?
Yeah. Well, the best way is to I always used to hate when people would say donate, but I truly
Mhm.
mean that because
Yeah,
at Let Them Live, dollars translate directly into lives, saved from abortion. So I'm telling you, the second that money hits our bank account, it goes right back out to pay for a bill for a mom. So your money is in action. So I always ask people if you can, if you have the ability to donate to our mission, like we rely 100% on donors, and we have to have donors fueling our mission, because our mission is to pay for bills and help women that way. Hi, cutie. So it's really about giving what you can. So I encourage our donor, or I encourage people to go to letthemlive.org. Also follow us on social media. Like, of course, money isn't the only way to support. We also need pregnancy counselor volunteers. You can volunteer from anywhere in the world. We have a volunteer who lives in Israel. We have someone who works in Canada. We have people who live all over the US. So following us on social media, sharing our mission, sharing our graphics, um, getting informed, like getting equipped with our brochures and our information in case you come across a woman who is pregnant and needs help. Getting us partnered with your local pregnancy center or your local sidewalk advocates. Whatever it is to spread the word is the best way to get involved. And I think I tell pro-life people like you can actually save a life from abortion. You can do it because when I grew up pro-life and when I was in college, I always thought, well, am I really making a difference? Can I actually save a life from abortion? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. And at Let Them Live, we make it super easy. You can literally sit on your couch and save a life from abortion and know that whether it's your dollars or your time, they're at work, making sure that lives are saved.
it's amazing. Um, yeah, I mean, I everyone should donate to Let Them Live. They do amazing work. And yeah, another thing that I'm excited about is that Emily is going to be speaking at the March for the Preborn in Jacksonville in January, on January 17th. We talk about that a
Yes.
lot on this podcast,
So
but
excited.
yeah, I'm excited to have you speak.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be amazing. I have no idea what I'm going to speak about. That is up to the Holy Spirit to put on my heart probably the day of. Um, but I know it's going to be great and I'm really excited, and I'm also a proud Floridian. So really excited to represent.
For sure. Yeah, it's going to be a good weekend. It's going to be got a lot going on, but it's going to be good. And super excited that Let Them Live is a part of it.
Me too.
But yeah. So what would you say is your long-term vision for like reshaping the conversation around financial support and for in pro-life advocacy?
Yeah. Well, I think it's got to be a shift. Like I mentioned before, I really think the shift is in moving our focus and our attention. I'm not saying entirely from, going after the supply of abortion, but it certainly is about understanding that there is a demand for abortion. Even still, even when Roe was overturned, there is still a demand for abortion. I mean, chemical abortions, for example, before Roe, made up about 54% of all abortions. Post Roe, it actually went up. In some states, it makes up about 70%. So we still have our work cut out for us. And that is my long-term vision for the pro-life movement is A, that we understand that we have our work cut out for us. And B, that we start to really dive into what are the reasons that women are seeking abortion in the first place. For so long, we've thought that abortion is the problem. And of course it is, but the real problem that's leading to abortion, that's what we have to look at. What is causing women to even think about that as an option in the first place? What has caused our culture to even think that that's an okay option? And that's where Let Them Live comes in. That's where other organizations like Let Them Live come in, where we're addressing those root problems. And I think that that is where the conversation has to shift in the pro-life movement in the future.
with all of the 1,000 women that you've interacted with, have you noticed that there's one specific group, like single mothers, college students, young families, that's particularly vulnerable financially, and kind of like the ones teetering right on the edge of financial instability where the pregnancy pushes them?
Yes. So we've seen pretty much every type of mom you could imagine. So we've seen it all. And I always tell our moms this, our counseling team always tells our moms this when we have a new mom, like, you can just share everything with us because there's nothing that we haven't heard or seen. But to give you an idea, the most women that we help are in their 20s, they're younger. They don't have as much stability. They are single. Um, a lot of the moms are not in any sort of stable relationship. So whether it's, a one night stand, we all know birds and the bees, we know how it happens. Or, it's just with someone they just kind of started dating, they're not really serious with. That's really what we see the most. It's just that young unstable situation. And that's something that I think most of us have been in, when we're 18, 19, 20 to 23. I mean, a lot of people aren't really stable until they're even in their 30s. So it's just very common to see in the young 30s and single mothers for sure. And it's unfortunate because it's not easy to be a single mom. And it's not that we want that to continue in society, but we have to help struggling single moms. We have to help them and we have to help show them that they do deserve a loving husband. They do deserve a loving relationship in their life. They do deserve, their kid deserves to grow up in a loving, home. So it's really about, yeah, trying to meet them where they're at. And again, we've seen everybody in any situation. So that's part of Let Them Live, is being able to adapt. Like, we're a very flexible organization when it comes to our moms because we just don't know which mom is going to contact us next and what her situation is going to be or what she's going through. And so we have to be ready. So we've seen it all, but yeah, young single moms.
It was so great to have you on, and we're gonna wrap up the with our kind of new segment that we started, which is that we're gonna have everybody on our podcast basically ask two questions to the next guests on the podcast. And so our last questions were from a couple of my really good friends, Jane and Michelle. We work together in our church on a like a youth retreat type of thing, and so they're a more like faith based. But I think it'll be cool for to see what you guys think about them. So I'll probably do like one for Emily and one for Eleanor, and then you can answer them, and then you guys can ask questions for the next guest. So one of the questions, and I guess we'll start with Emily. What is the coolest or craziest miracle that you've ever seen God do?
Let them live. I know that's such a dumb answer, but it's so true. It's an actual miracle to take two like young people from Indiana and just the little amount of money they had in their bank account. It's like a water, it's like a loaves and fish situation with Let Them Live,
Yeah,
I swear. So Let Them Live is definitely the biggest miracle I've ever witnessed. Seeing these babies on the brink of death and seeing women that I thought were maybe too far gone. No one is too far gone for the Lord. So let them live.
for sure. It's a good answer. It is. And then the second question is, what is the most challenging conversation you've ever had to have with someone about your faith or someone else's faith?
I think one of the most challenging conversations I had would be tabling on campus, and were the conversations where you were trying to get to the root of the pro-life argument and talking about the dignity of human life and that it starts from the moment of conception, and realizing that the person that I was talking to did not believe that their own life had value or worth. And just this culture of death that exists now where um they don't even value their own life. So why would they value someone else's that they can't see or touch, or it's just this untangible thing. Um, and those conversations are such a challenge because then it takes away anything else. It takes away any pro-life argument. You have to get to their worth that is given to them by God and make them feel loved. because without that, nothing else matters. There's no politics, no social justice, like nothing matters if they don't believe in their own worth and dignity. Um, and
Yeah.
that's a challenge because our culture does not give that to people. And it's something I've realized is not so taken for granted in Christian circles that we're told our whole lives that God loves you just the way you are and he loves you. Like nothing you can do can make you lose that. And realizing how many people in the world were never told that and don't believe that is really humbling.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think you mentioned it briefly when you're in the introduction, but Nora and she was the president and I was the vice president of our Students for Life group at UNF. And we were out together a lot at the tabling on the green. And we had all these people come up, and that was the biggest thing, like what you just said, that we would notice is that there were so many people that like we didn't really have to say anything about like convince them. We didn't have to convince them that it was a baby or that the baby was a human. Like they knew it was a human and biologically life, most people. But they're like, I think that even despite that, like it's not worth, it's not enough. So that's crazy. It was like one of the big things. Like, what do we even say this? It's almost like it's not even a pro-lifer's job. It's more of like a theologian or something to get them to understand that life has value. But that's a big thing that we have to try to push against in the culture, like you said. And um, I think that probably have a ways to go, all of us, the whole culture, but we are on the right path, I think. And I think with organizations like Let Them Live and like other organizations who help women in need and kind of show them the love of God when they're in a place that is so dark and like so hopeless, they feel like it's so hopeless. But in reality, we are called as Christians to do exactly what you guys do, Emily, and that is, bring the love of God to them in their darkest moment and give them hope. And honestly, when, I'm sure that obviously you've seen this a million times, but or a thousand times, but when they have that hope and when they have that baby, then it's like they probably look back at the time when they were like in their bathroom crying, like, what am I going to do? And now they're like, oh my gosh, like this is so amazing. And God totally changed this situation 180 with this baby. Like this is such an amazing blessing out of something that was so, dire at one point, but now it's this blessing.
No, 100%. You said it perfectly. There's never been a mom that has ever regretted choosing life when she gives birth and she meets her baby and she holds her baby. The most common thing that we hear from our moms is like, why did I ever think about abortion? Like, I am so glad I didn't have an abortion.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I always think about. Like, think about how many women regret their abortion and think about how many women, like, I've never heard someone say, I wish I would have aborted my child that I have now. Like, I've never heard that once. And so that kind of just goes to show you what the right answer is. But Emily, what is your question for our next podcast guest without knowing
Okay.
who it is?
Well, I'm an avid reader, so it has to be a book question. I
Okay.
would say, what is one book that you recommend everybody reads?
Okay. That's a good one. All right, Nora.
What can we do outside of the pro-life movement to really target the dignity of human life? What area really needs support besides just pregnant moms?
It's a good one. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you
Thank
guys
Good
have
luck
a
with all
great
your
you.
car
rest of your
things,
day.
Thank
Emily.
you for having me, even in a moving truck. I appreciate you guys. And hey, if you ever want to have me back on, I will do my very best to be in a more you know, safe environment, stable environment. But hey, things
No,
happen.
your
So
your
thank you
joy and
guys.
authenticity speaks volumes.
Thank you
Yes.
guys for being so flexible. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you for being flexible as well to do it in the car.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. God bless. Thank you.
God bless. Talk to you soon. Bye.